Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar on increasing conversion rates and driving more business with PPC. You're all very welcome. I'm just going to give it a few more minutes for people to join. I can see there's 18 people here already, so we'll just give it a few more minutes. Perfect. I'm going to crack on. Everybody's very welcome. My name's Shane. I'm the paid search account director here in Legacy Communications. I'm going to give this talk today on obviously increasing your conversion rates, getting more from your paid search, and I suppose ultimately trying to drive more business from that. I suppose a little bit of background on myself is I've 10 plus years of running paid search campaigns in Ireland. I've lots of experience in-house and within agencies, so across all different types of businesses. And it's kind of describe myself more as a performance marketer. So that's kind of, I suppose, what this is all about, is really trying to drive more performance, but a lot of it is translatable, I think, into other kind of demand gen and engagement campaigns as well. So I'll just crack on. So as part of today's discussion, what I want to do is just give a really kind of ground level, easy, simple understanding of, first of all, what is conversion rate, how it impacts performance, then some kind of, I suppose, trying to go through like in-campaign ideas, and also on-page ideas, and then at the end talk about testing, because for me that's the most important part of trying to increase your conversion rates and increase performance. So conversion rate in simplest form is basically just conversions divided by clicks. So it's the rate of traffic. It's the rate of sales coming up from your clicks. And Google here describes it as conversion rates are calculated by simply taking the number of conversions and dividing that by the number of total ad interactions that can be tracked from a conversion during a period of time. So it's basically the percentage of leads or sales, or even again for your engagement campaigns, like people watching videos, people filling in forms for kind of newsletters or what have you. I suppose in the greatest kind of what we're generally trying to do in a performance marketing space is to drive more leads and sales online. So it's that very bottom of the funnel play. But I know kind of the good chunk of my clients, we're basically trying to get people to fill out the form, on their website. Is really the name of the game in terms of what we're trying to do, and that's really where your conversion rate comes in. So if you can increase that, you can increase the number of leads that you see coming through. In terms of the sums, it's I want to give again a really kind of easy kind of understanding of, if we show 1,000 impressions, we have a click-through rate of 50%. So that's the number of clicks coming from our impressions. We'll drive 500 clicks. But then if we have a conversion rate of 20%, so if that 500 clicks that come from the website, 20% of them convert, we get 100 conversions. So that's just the kind of the simple maths, is that figure really does have a big impact on the amount of kind of leads and sales that we see coming through. How does it affect your performance? So I like to think of kind of paid search as it's very much like a kind of a horse race. So the traffic has to jump over a number of different hurdles to get where it's going, and the conversion rate is the last hurdle that we have to overcome. So again, if we go back to our analogy with the 20% conversion rate, if we can increase that to 25%, we'll get an extra 25 conversions. We'll have 125 conversions, which is kind of, that's the name of the game. And I think this just really kind of shows that little increase of 5% can have a big impact on increasing the number of leads or increasing the number of sales that you have coming through from your campaigns. How it works in general, is that it has a big impact on the cost as well that you're buying, and essentially buying your conversions from. So spend divided by clicks multiplied by conversion rate equals cost per conversion. So if you can increase your conversion rate, you'll be able to decrease your cost per conversions by spending the same amount of money, essentially driving the same traffic. You'll get, I suppose, more bang for your buck. And if there is room there within the market to cover more, you should hopefully be able to drive more overall conversions even further then. Again, it has a big impact on revenue. So clicks multiplied by conversion rate, I suppose, multiplied by lifetime customer value equals revenue. So again, going back, kind of with the same example that I had in the previous slide, if you can increase your conversion rate there, you will overall drive more revenue because you're driving more leads, you're driving more sales in that sense. I think like kind of in campaign ideas around increasing your conversion rates, super important. It's not necessarily kind of, it's twofold. Again, going back to my analogy about the horse race, is that we need to think about the different hurdles that people have to jump over. So we need to go back. We need to think about the first hurdle, which is like in the campaign. So it's all about driving kind of, I suppose, quality of traffic to your website. So really thinking about, in terms of paid search, thinking about, nuts and bolts of what keywords are you bidding on? Are they relevant to your products and your services? What's actually coming through in the search term report? And I'll get into that now. And then kind of thinking about other aspects like audiences, and you kind of, I suppose, bidding strategies and stuff like that as well. So in terms of kind of the actual keywords that you're bidding on, it's really, really simple stuff that it's just like, it has to be all about you showing ads that are super related to your products and services. And Google has a number of different, obviously the different match types, going from exact back to broad. So, Google's made a lot of changes recently to how it runs its match types, but in theory, an exact match type, if you're bidding on red shoes, for example, your ad will, an exact match keyword will show for red shoes. And then working back phrase, it's kind of, it's or will show for searches around the keyword that you're bidding on. So, best red shoes for sale, for instance. And then broad is another keyword beyond that the system thinks is relevant to your products and services. So, the big thing here is the traffic volume. There's a lot more volume, obviously, around broad keywords, but in general, the quality of traffic is better around your exact match keywords. So you should be in kind of, I suppose, as a best practice, trying to drive as much exact match traffic as possible, and then kind of, I suppose, having a waterfall technique where you move, where you're pushing spend back to the other keywords, and in essence using broad and phrase as a way of looking for other keywords within the market that you can add to your exact match lists. Another thing as well is I mentioned earlier that Google has made an awful lot of changes to how it shows, how it triggers for different keywords. So we've seen phrase kind of turn more into broad. Keywords that they will, phrase will show for all different sorts of keywords. And I think you need to be really, really careful if you're working particularly in a B2B environment where you have one qualifying keyword within your within your strategy that you need to show that you need to have in the search term for in order for it to be of good enough quality, like business or commercial or something like that. So the system, particularly on kind of really on broad, but particularly on phrase, can, you might have like best business shoes or whatever. It will negate the word business, and it will show ads for stuff that is potentially B2C. So you're always constantly looking at adding negative keywords, particularly with broad, but more so with phrase nowadays, just to make sure that the quality of traffic is super relevant. In a general sense as well, we see better kind of conversion rates from long tail keywords. So, I suppose the name says it all, really. They're keywords that are longer. They might have a qualifying kind of word in them, like buy, or even if we go back like best. That makes them, that gives them more kind of, I suppose, makes them more relevant to the search that somebody is performing. So they generally kind of convert at a better rate. Now again, the volume isn't necessarily there, given kind of compared to more short tail keywords, but they do convert quite well. And I think it's also important to understand how we discover kind of more long tail keywords as well. Is that in a general sense, there's a lot of search out there that we have no idea or no way of understanding of what people are typing into Google. So again, it's really all about constantly looking at your search term reports, seeing what people are typing in when you're bidding on red shoes, for example. Kind of getting rid of stuff that mightn't be totally okay, but then looking at what is a longer tail keyword, but what's also driving conversions and adding them into your exact match lists. Another thing to bear in mind as well is brand versus generic. So generally, again, we see higher conversion rates from our branded campaigns versus generic campaigns. But again, the volume of traffic around branded traffic or around branded campaigns is generally it is lower than generic traffic. And again, I think there's kind of every business is different. So there are some aspects where branded campaigns are absolutely vital if you're working in an ultra competitive environment, for instance. My thinking is generally kind of banking, insurance, kind of automotive, kind of, I suppose, telecoms, anything like that. where it's everybody's just bidding on each other's brand, that you need to have a brand campaign to kind of protect yourself in that sense. But kind of, I suppose if you're in an environment where nobody else is bidding on your brand, there is kind of a question on whether you should have a brand campaign at all. But like I said, every brand is different. But in a general sense, we do see a higher conversion rate from branded campaigns. So, and I think it really, really goes to show that it is really important to invest in your brand, whether, even within digital marketing or outside of digital marketing, to invest and to look at kind of those above the line kind of marketing opportunities to drive more overall branded search. So that's super, super important. Another thing as well is that we can layer audiences on top of our campaigns that will help us to increase our click-through, our conversion rates. So generally the lower funnel kind of audiences such as remarketing or customer match perform really well in terms of increased conversion rates. So these are obviously people that have been to your website before, maybe that people that have kind of cart abandonment campaigns, or current customers for email addresses, telephone numbers, that sort of thing. But we can also see kind of good conversion rates again around in-market audiences and YouTube audiences. So if you're running any campaigns on YouTube, kind of these would be people that have seen the ad on YouTube, for instance, that we can change the ad copy. We can send them to a different landing page. But generally, these lower funnel kind of audiences have really good conversion rates. The upper funnel ones, again, work well on kind of, I suppose, looking at the quality of traffic, but we would see really good conversion rates around remarketing and customer match. And again, we live in a world now that is really all about kind of, I suppose, automation, first of all, and I suppose kind of, Google's machine learning has come on a good bit, in fairness, in the last number of years. And I think we've all moved, I know I have anyways, moved away kind of from manual bidding in a lot of different, my campaigns, and you should kind of be bidding towards kind of the kind of conversion goals. So whether you're using maximized conversions or target CPA, which is quite good for some B2 lead gen campaigns and also B2B campaigns. But we've seen really good kind of results with target ROAS around some B2B campaigns as well, where you give your different leads a different value, for instance, and you tell a system to go after the most value. So that will help increase conversion rates, because you're actively telling the system to go after and find conversions and bid up on traffic that it thinks will convert at a better rate. Like I said, the issue is generally kind of around the quality, quality of traffic and the volume of traffic. So we can see that the laws of diminishing return are a very real thing within paid search. Whenever you get to kind of the top of the market, your conversion rates and the kind of, I suppose, your ability to target kind of a more kind of qualified audience becomes harder and harder, because the system is using it's trying to find traffic again from those broad keywords or from other areas that it has bid down on in the past, and it is more difficult to get kind of the efficiency that you need when you try and push for a lot of volume. So it really is a fine balancing act. As well, I would like to stress as well that when you get to the kind of, I suppose, the top of the market in terms of covering, your impression share, that generally the costs become quite prohibitive at that time. So we see kind of higher CPCs, particularly when you're in the 80% plus impression share area. In terms of on page, it's all about, for me, it's all about providing the user with a really good experience, a really positive, kind of easy to use, simple, thought out, professional looking experience that, kind of highlights, what your business is and what you do, and, the benefits, and kind of really good cost action. Just makes it really easy for people to convert. So again, it's going back in a general sense, the work that I do is about kind of getting people to fill out the form, a bit better. There's a number of different things that we can concentrate on. So there's content, there's, you can use different calls to action, you can highlight different aspects of your product. You can use social proofing, testimonials, all that sort of stuff, and the images. So you can test different images, obviously, but video as well. And the form, you can test different aspects of the form. So shortening the form for kind of, I suppose, quantity for driving more leads, but lengthening it for driving a better quality of lead as well. One thing that we like here in Legacy Communications is this kind of this infograph from Unbounce. We use Unbounce a good bit for creating landing pages. I find it very easy to use, to be honest. This isn't a sales pitch for Unbounce, by the way, but it is one of the things that we use, and they have this anatomy of a landing page that I think is quite relevant. So kind of, you've got your form header here in a really prominent position, ideally above the fold. You can make sure, if you need to drive phone numbers, you should make sure that if you need to drive phone calls, you should make sure that the phone number is in a prominent position. Again, clear calls to action, really, really important. Use the photos and videos here. Again, also really important to highlight your benefits. Think about social proofing, so kind of testimonials, etc. Kind of, I suppose, good versus bad is just like I said earlier, it's really just kind of trying to make it as professional as possible, as easy, for somebody to again fill out that form. Don't try and cram too much in. First of all, in my experience, we don't know what's actually going to move the needle or what's working, and it just looks too busy, and it's not professional enough, and it just doesn't look that great. But yes, kind of really good, clear calls to action. Form above the fold, social proofing, highlighting the different benefits, and testimonials, and even kind of what I would like to do here is try and experiment, is move testimonials up, and kind of move stuff around, and do a lot of kind of A/B testing in that sense. But this also translates, I think, into e-commerce quite well. So you can still do you can still highlight your calls to action in your product pages. So, this is, I'm not saying you have to copy Amazon or anything, but you kind of, get in a good call to action there about the product that you're trying to sell. Have the buy now button in a prominent position, obviously above the fold. You can do your social proofing. You can have testimonials, reviews, and you can talk about highlights of your product, or I suppose benefits, really, more so than anything as well. But the landing page experience is a key metric in determining keyword quality score as well. So going back to saying that it's really important that we need to think about the user experience. Google takes that into account with your paid search and your PPC campaigns in determining keyword quality scores. So if you're, it's yes about getting content in there that has the keywords, but if you have a poor user experience, Google will give you a lower keyword quality score. Keyword quality score, for those that don't know, it runs from 1 to 10, 10 being the best and 1 being the lowest. And if you score high on it, you pay less for the traffic. It's as simple as that. So that will again have an impact on the cost per conversion. And if you can drive more, if you can drive more traffic for a lower price, you should overall be able to drive more conversions. There's other kind of ideas as well around increasing conversion rates. So I hope our client Keith doesn't mind me highlighting. You can add a chat now kind of box here that will allow people to interact directly with your business, kind of, and chat to a representative. If they've got any questions or anything like that, this can be a super easy, kind of way for people to get in touch with you as well. And we can also create kind of light box pop-ups as well that will again get people to contact or chat straight away. You need to be careful with this, that they don't kind of, I suppose, become annoying, but it's definitely, I think it's something that's worth testing in the meantime. Again, okay, going on to testing now. So this is, for me, I think the most important bit of kind of looking at ways to increase your conversion rates. So for a lot of it, we have our kind of best practices, but we need to continuously be testing what's actually going to work. So always be testing. I'm quite proud of my Glenn Gallagher and Ross reference there, by the way. It's really, really important to know what actually moves the needle and what doesn't as well. That a test not working or you not seeing the results you wanted is quite beneficial, because that doesn't work, and then you can come up with ways to tweak that test and see why did it go wrong, and how do we improve things from there. So what I do with all my clients is trying to create a testing repository. So just a list of different landing page tests, as well as ad copy tests and strategy tests that we can have, kind of a parking lot that we take. We take one test off the shelf, we test it for a month, and we see how it works, and then if that test, we decide if we want to do another test from our ideas, or do we want to kind of, I suppose, rework things to test again with the same test. Again, it's really, really important to test for suitable periods of time. So a month anyway. I would let the test run its course, even if you're seeing good results, because very often you can initially get a good result, but it will go south, in the latter stages of the test. So it's really important that you get a good level of time, but also data as well, to make it statistically significant. And I think you need to test for a suitable period of time for that to happen. Try and test one thing at a time. If you're running A/B tests, I'll talk about multivariate testing now in the next couple of slides. But generally, we're running a simple A/B test, so just one item at a time, whether it's a call to action or switching out an image, for instance. And that's just so that we know what works. Because if we test too many things, obviously we won't know what works. Document your results as well. Obviously, kind of with our test and learn strategies, we're constantly documenting and putting everything into an easy to read kind of, I suppose, spread, presentation or PowerPoint. But that's just so that you can flick back and see, what have we done in the past, what hasn't worked, what has worked. even if it's just a one pager. And if it doesn't work, again, like I said, kind of amend the test, see why it doesn't work, and look at that as positive. Sorry. Yes. Again, there are other items that we can see about what's working and what's not working. So we can add like kind of heat mapping technology to the website. I like to use Microsoft's Clarity. It's free, first of all, and it's very easy to install just through the Google Tag Manager, for instance. But we can after a period of time, we'll be able to see where people are actually clicking on the map in terms of heat mapping, or sorry, where people are clicking on the landing page or your form or whatever in terms of heat mapping, and then we can devise other tests around that and advise the client on possible changes to the website that will lead for good results. Multivariant testing is something that I think is quite exciting. So there's a number of different technologies out there that will allow you to create more than 2 versions of your landing page, for instance. Unbounce has one that you create multiple different versions of the landing page, and it will test, it will see which one performs best, and then it will start pushing traffic towards that. I know in a previous life, we use Oracle's Maximizer, which is quite similar. And I suppose multivariant testing is, again, it's the discipline, like I said, discipline of multiple combinations of landing pages to yield higher conversion rates. It is really, really important to make sure that you have lots of traffic before you attempt to do any multivariant, because you need to send enough traffic to each individual landing page to get a high enough sample. But again, it's really, the biggest thing for me to increase your conversion rates is just to concentrate as well as all of the above on your business. So have a great product, have great customer service, and invest in your brand. And that's all I've got today, guys. If I flew through that a bit quick, I'm sorry, but if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to take any. Is there any questions? Oh, great. How important is that? Yeah. Okay, I'll start. With Megan, do you recommend trying different channels like TikTok, etc.? Yes, absolutely. They'll all perform differently. I think with PPC or paid search, there's a definite intent behind what people are searching. But yes, you should experiment with different and new emerging kind of, I suppose, advertising solutions. TikTok has some, very interesting audiences, for instance, and different audiences that are really, really exciting. Nessa, what was the name of the heat mapping technology mentioned? So it's Clarity. It's Microsoft's Clarity software. If you just Google it, it'll come up. It's, like I said, it's free to use. We find it very handy. Ed. We decide which keyword match type is right for a campaign or business service. So Noel, really what we do is, if we'd ask you, kind of ask the client kind of where do they see business coming from, or what kind of keywords do they think are relevant for their campaigns, and then we could set a small kind of, I suppose, test campaign around phrase to kind of look at what other searches are out there, and then we can restructure towards an exact match campaign. I suppose best practice in the past would have been to have those two campaigns separate, but we can increase, with Google's kind of the way things are going, we can put them together, and generally use the phrase match to look at what other keywords are out there. I should say that at the start, it's very much kind of all about testing. So it's about using those different kind of phrase and broad match to look for other keywords to add to our exact match terms. Neve, just on the quality of traffic, so how important is that? It's really important. For me, it's I think it's one of the most important things. So it's all about just making sure that what people are searching for is relevant to your products and services, and kind of, I suppose, nuts and bolts way of thinking. How many people got that film, Barry? Many people got that film reference. I hope a few. I hope that's not showing my age, though. So if is there any more questions? Neil, just wondering if you've any appreciations about AI taking over the responsibility of Google Ads Manager. I think my job is okay at the moment. It's one thing I think AI is a tool for us to use, kind of, and it's going to take away some of the heavy lifting in a lot of ways, but it really just around ad copy and landing pages. It provides inspiration more so than anything at the moment. I suppose great content really. At the moment, ChatGPT can of course write a blog article, but it doesn't really create great content that's really hot. So hopefully I'm okay for a little while longer. Another question there from Ed. Great presentation. For those who have limited options to change our landing page, what would you recommend using? Well, I think we use a lot of events kind of within the agency that we find very, very easy to change landing pages, to create new ones. I think they have a free solution up to a certain level of landing pages, and then you have to go onto a paid platform, or there's a monthly cost, or there's a small monthly cost. I'm not too sure, but yeah, we like to use Unbounce. Okay. Is that it? There's no other questions. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I hope it was you got some insight from it. If you have any questions, please, my email address is shane@legacycommunications.com. And of course, we'd be delighted to talk to you about PPC, SEO, or any other services that we have. So thank you very much for joining. We'll be sending out an email as well with a recording of the webinar. Thank you. Bye-bye.